How many times have you been thinking of somebody and then just a moment later, boop, you get a text or a call from them? It happens often, right? It probably happens more often with more people than ever before. And I think I know why. If we call back to the late, great Nikola Tesla, who famously stated that if you want to understand the nature of the universe, you must think about it in terms of vibration and frequency. And sure, we might not yet have the spectrographic equipment required to understand and map out the input and output signals from our big, beautiful brains and very complex neurologic systems. However, they do run on electromagnetic physics, meaning that there is frequency and vibration emitted from our entire neurologic system. Therefore, if we have perhaps a shared experience with a very particular person that's close in our life, that our brains and our neurologic system could be just like we tune a old school radio to catch the radio station, and if it's in between stations you're not quite hearing it, but if you are really connected and aligned with that person and you listen to that station often, it can be tuned exactly to the expression of that individual. And so I think that by using these phones, which also use electromagnetic frequencies, we are subtly attuning ourselves to the whoop, about to get a message. We feel some subtle vibration, some shift, change, maybe a particular frequency, just like that radio station, that person, and we go, oh, I know who just called me. I know who just messaged me. I want to hear what you guys think about this in the comments, but right now my current thinking is that if you have a friend and or a group of people with whom you do share a lot of similarities with, a lot of shared, very specific emotional experiences, like you like the same music, you go to the same concerts, you talk a lot about the same kinds of things, and when you're together you feel like you're on a vibe. I think it's possible that with those people you can begin to cultivate sending them a form of psychic message. But what is psychic? Psychic could be a whole host of things, right? From, again, our big, beautiful brains and very complex neurologic systems processing a tremendous amount of information all day, but subconsciously. And therefore, every once in a while, our subconscious mind refines all that information, puts it into a nice little folder, like on the desktop of our computer, that we can access whenever we see a very particular pattern. And so maybe for psychics, when they're interacting with somebody and they feel in their own body a very specific thing, it's kind of like, I'm going to open up that folder. Boop, there it is. A pattern recognition system, but from subtle energies. Or maybe psychic is something supernatural. What is supernatural? Natural, the natural world, right? And all of the physics and mathematics that govern the natural world. But super meaning a level above that, meaning that it's above the natural math and physics of the world that we know. So is there something perhaps maybe in a other form of reality, a different dimension? Is our DNA perhaps vibrating in some subtle way that connects us to a totally different reality? A reality where past and future are also present, and therefore we can access any information we so choose. Well, that is a bit perhaps of a sci-fi reach, which there are some psychedelic communities out there that believe they are tapping into another dimension. But let's bring it back to the average everyday life. What can we do in our everyday life to perhaps cultivate an ability that allows us to tune into very specific frequencies, maybe frequencies of thought and or even more specifically, an individual? I think that if you have a group of friends, or if it's just a specific person, one, to start out with, you could clear your mind of everything else that you have going on in your life, just like you would in a meditation. Except for in this meditation, you are going to think and feel this particular person. So imagine an environment where you guys had shared something really beautiful. If it's a lover, it's going to be a lot more easy, I think, than anyone else, because you're sharing a lot of very deep intimacy. And your neurologic systems, your hearts are connected, and you're thinking about this person often throughout the day. But if you don't have a lover or a partner, you can find a close friend or somebody that you're really close with, maybe a family member. And in that state of meditation, as you clear your mind of everything else, start thinking about them. Think of an experience, perhaps if you guys like the same music and you've gone to a concert of your absolute favorite band singing every single word in unison together. Think of what it felt like to look at that person, to maybe grab them and pull them in for an embrace. You're jumping up and down, excited about this shared experience. Think about that moment. And then when you connect to it, I want you to then send them a very simple thought. And my speculation is that over a period of time, practicing this form of very subtle, maybe step one in the direction of psychic connection, we could start to understand how the body and brain is interacting with these frequencies. And I think that the more people that do it, the more data that we can have, and the more interesting comments I'm sure we're going to have in this thread. So if this idea excites you and you're willing to try something a little bit different, I welcome you to find a partner and begin to practice, then come back here and share with us your experiences, because ultimately that's the only way we're going to figure out whether this is actually possible. If there's a big enough data pool of people from all over the world, cross-culturally trying, because we know that there's something happening, right? The world is shifting, and there are certain things that we are becoming more and more aware of and tuned to. So maybe if we start to cultivate our ability to tune to certain frequencies, then we can actualize massive shifts in human consciousness. And I look forward to hearing from you guys, whether it's really excited and all of your stories after practicing, or on the other side of the spectrum, you think this is totally crazy, wackadoo nonsense. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments.